There
How
he
are you,
is.
mate? How are you?
Hey, thanks so much for joining me.
No, no problem at all.
Really,
Just trying to get this sorted. Where are we? I wonder if I turn it around, will it? Nope,
I
won't
was
let it.
seeing you fine before. Like right now, I
Yeah,
can
that's
see you
fine.
fine.
Just gonna hold it. That's fine. No way to put it.
Let's see. Just me here. All right. How are you?
Yes, good. Just been practicing and well, getting ready for the tournament, I suppose.
Yeah. How's the weather
Yeah.
now?
A little bit rainy this afternoon, but I got my practice done in time, so that was fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess the last few days haven't been as bad as the beginning of the tournament, huh? When you were there for qualies, Bjorn was telling me that it was tough to get on the grass.
Well, I was in Nottingham the tournament before
Mhm.
until quite late, so I
Okay,
sort of
that's
did all
true.
my practice there and had a bit of rest sort of coming in, and then yeah, the first day of qualifying it rained off,
Hmm.
so I had to push it back a day, but then after that it was fine. It was a bit cloudy and that, but yeah, the
Hmm.
weather held off for 3 days in a row,
Okay.
and yeah, got to play, so that was all good.
And what's the atmosphere there like today? Being the final
Yeah,
day before it starts.
yeah, it wasn't as busy as usual. I think maybe I felt like that because I don't have singles tomorrow, unfortunately.
Okay.
Was practicing out there yesterday just in doubles. I lost in the qualies and yeah, it wasn't high enough to get in the singles this year.
Hmm.
So it was a bit sad for me yesterday. I thought, oh, I really want to be playing singles, but obviously I lost in the qualies and yeah, so wasn't high enough to get in this year. So yeah, all my efforts focus on doubles and maybe mixed doubles as well later in the week. But the atmosphere today, was a little rainy, so it was kind of a bit misty and sort of overcast. So maybe it sort of relaxed the atmosphere a bit. I think when it's hot and sweaty, everyone is, obviously maybe feeling it a bit more and getting
Yeah.
ready for the event. But the cooler weather maybe sort of relaxes things a bit.
Calmed everyone down a bit.
I think so. It just, gives that sort of lazy Sunday afternoon vibe.
Hmm. Gotcha. And who are you
Yeah.
playing doubles and potentially mix with there?
Yes, I'm playing doubles with JP Smith. He's
Hmm.
a fellow Australian. We've been playing together all year.
Hmm.
So that's been going
Lefty.
well. Yeah, lefty righty combo. Oh, funny, I ran into Mark Woodford walking around the grounds, an ex-coach of mine and a good friend. And yeah, was talking a little bit about the lefty righty combos, which he
Hmm.
obviously knows a lot about.
Yeah.
Him and Todd Woodbridge obviously won the doubles many, many times. So yeah, we've got to try and emulate his footsteps, I suppose, in the doubles this week. But yeah, it's special to be back at Wimbledon, and they're going to have crowds in from tomorrow. So
How good is that?
apparently they're expecting a pretty rowdy and vibrant crowd, seeing as everyone's been locked down for so long. Apparently,
Hmm.
people can't wait to get amongst the tennis and be involved.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm sure for you players, like such a big difference having those stands filled up, huh?
Definitely. The last few weeks or even a couple months, slowly, some fans have been starting to come back in, the Masters and the tour events, even in Roland Garros, started to be some fans, but now it's coming more and more. I think they're
Hmm.
starting with 50% fans and up to 100% by the end of the tournament.
Oh, wow.
So, got to make sure we're still here at the end of the tournament.
So you'll get the Aussies going.
Well, I'll take anything. I'll take any sort of chanting, even if it's for the opponent. I don't usually mind. It's fine.
Just
It
some
keeps the
noise to get you out of
atmosphere.
your head.
Yeah, just a good energy, and makes it fun out there. Keeps it interesting. Keeps me sort of motivated and involved. So
For
it's
sure.
fun nevertheless. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard, but the U.S. Open announced this past week that they're going to be 100% at 100% capacity.
Wow. There you go. Okay. Now,
So
so that's great news. Yeah, I think the
light
US
at
is a
the end of
little
the
quicker.
tunnel.
Yeah, I think the US has been a little quicker than some parts of the world
Hmm.
with opening up everything pretty quickly, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the UK is obviously a bit tentative, I suppose. They've sort of had a long stretch of lockdowns and everything, but they seem to be on the right path.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still a bit hesitant with some things. But yeah, good signs ahead.
Yep. And your boy JP Smith just got on. So JP, how's it going, buddy?
Is he on there? Is he
Yeah, he's
chatting?
joined. Let's see. I don't know if he stayed.
He's
Let's see.
joined. JP Smith, there he is. So yeah, that's my secret to doubles and mixed doubles is find good partners who can carry me
Mm-hmm.
and then get me good results. So that's sort of my strategy.
I mean, Sam Stosur did a pretty good job with that with you at the Aussie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. See, you got to pick good partners, let them carry you, and then you get good results.
Perfect. Yes, he's on there. He's on there. He saw it. He couldn't resist. You mentioned his name. He appears. He's like Beetlejuice.
Exactly.
You say his name 3 times and JP appears. But mixed doubles.
There
Do
you
you have a
go.
partner? Are you set with anyone yet for this week?
Yeah, maybe with Sam Stosur. We just got to
Okay.
see what the cuts are looking like. But
Mhm.
yeah, we hope to be able to play again if we can. We
Yeah.
have to wait until the sign-in closes and see how that goes.
Okay.
But yeah,
Is it a
she's
full
keen to
32?
play, and
Is it a full 32 draw?
I think it's a 48 draw even. So there's
Oh,
some buys, but
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a slightly bigger draw
Cool.
with some buys. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, doubles should start first on Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. All right. What are your?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. What are your predictions for the singles draw? Who do you think takes
Yeah,
the title this year?
yeah. Obviously, been watching a few of the guys practicing and hitting and seeing who's in. I mean, yeah, I think Novak is probably the favorite for sure. But what a lot of people don't realize is that it's never that easy to win a Grand Slam over 5 sets over 2 weeks. A lot can happen. It's not like he's 21 anymore either.
Mhm.
It's obviously he's proven himself to be the best athlete, even still at 33, 34, 35. Even him and Rafa are probably still the two strongest athletes, well into their 30s. So that doesn't
Mhm.
seem to be an issue, but I still think you can't take anything for granted, and that still
Mhm.
leaves the door, pretty wide open. So,
Mhm.
I mean, other than Novak, obviously, Roger's going to be there. I think if he can find himself in the second week, if he gets himself through to the quarterfinals or
Yeah.
something, then he'll be in the hunt.
Yeah.
If he gets 3, 4 matches behind him and he starts to feel good, and if he's in the quarters or semis, he's as good a shot as any.
Yeah.
And obviously Novak has to get to the final and get through for to be able to stop anyone else. Sounds silly,
Yeah.
but there's obviously a long way to go in 2 weeks of tennis. So other than that, obviously, guys like Tsitsipas and Zverev have been playing well at the French on the
Mhm.
clay. How quickly they'll transition to the grass, I don't know.
Mhm.
I think it's been way too short this grass season. That's why Nadal pulled out of Wimbledon, which is very sad, I think, for the game.
Mhm.
With a 2 week turnaround from French into Wimbledon, it's not good enough in my opinion. Obviously, no secret, I love hard courts
Yeah.
as well. But there's like a 12-week season on clay before French Open, and there's 2 weeks before Wimbledon. It doesn't really add up, doesn't make sense.
No.
So I think the ATP has a long way to go in sort of evening things out, making things fair for the various Grand Slams.
Right. And to your point, catering a little bit more to players that don't necessarily favor the clay.
Well,
Like.
I think it's such a diverse tour. I think
Mhm.
the game of tennis started on grass. That's no secret. Wimbledon's our most historic Grand Slam.
Mhm.
Most will probably say the most famous, the biggest one. Of course, they're all equal in terms of Grand Slams, but the sort of heritage and history behind Wimbledon is second to none, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, to see Rafa not even showing up, it's sure. I know he's older. I know Clay's his favorite surface, but he's won
Mhm.
Wimbledon before.
Yeah.
And he even said, he's like, with 1 week to prepare, there's no way I can change surface and be ready for 7 best-of-5 matches on a grass court
Which is
in 1 week. So
understandable. I mean, it's
absolutely,
tough.
absolutely, absolutely. Looking at
Mhm.
he spent 12 weeks basically on clay leading in and playing tournaments before the French Open.
Mhm.
I don't know why there's not a large grass court season as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, you've got the hard court season, the clay court season. There should be a grass court season, and
Mhm.
then back onto hard court before US Open, and then obviously indoor hard after that. So you have the whole diversity of sort of 5 different surfaces all year.
Grass
But they've
normally
really
takes
dropped the ball.
Yeah, and grass normally takes the short end of the stick.
Yeah, it's strange, and I mean, you've even seen some more support for grass in the last few years. Some of those tournaments that were after Wimbledon on clay, like Stuttgart, for example, that used to be on clay, and instead they decided no, they want to move before Wimbledon, go on to change to grass, and become one of the sort of bigger events because there hardly are any. So there's a lot of opportunity there for tournaments, I suppose, before Wimbledon, and there's been talk of one of them becoming a Master Series on grass.
Yeah, that's right. There aren't any.
Exactly. So, I mean, how do you have a Grand Slam on a surface without a Masters is beyond me. And then, from the Masters would lead back to the 500s, then some more 250s, even challenges. And that will make, a somewhere between 6 to 8 to 10 week grass season before a Grand Slam, which is how it should be. So, they'll see how they go there in future.
All right. And that leads actually me to my next question that I really wanted to discuss with you. You mentioned a couple minutes ago, the ATP, definitely they have a couple things they need to get their act together on. And this leads me to my next point, the Professional Tennis Player Association, the PTPA, right? And you and I, we've had a few talks about it. I know that you've been very in favor of that. Can you kind of walk, us through a little bit more about that?
Well, look, I'm in favor of tennis as a whole. I certainly support the ATP as much as I do the PTPA, but the way the ATP is set up, which has been evident for me over the last 15 years being on the tour, is that anytime there's been a crossroads or players and ATP even have tried to get stuff done that they wanted to get done, it nearly always gets to a decision point and always they lose out because of the way the structure is. So, the players are not, I suppose, don't have a deciding vote. It always comes to a vote and the players always lose out because the people who are voting are ones with common interests on the tournament side too. So it's not to say that they're doing the wrong thing. They're doing absolutely the right thing. They're men, they're running businesses, they're doing their thing, and that's fine. But the structure has proven itself over and over and over again to be broken. And even our player councils over the last 5-10 years, they've butted their heads, they've done everything they can, and eventually most of them just ended up quitting the council because they're like, well, it's just a waste of time. We go round and round in circles. We can never get anywhere. The structure's broken. So the player council is almost irrelevant nowadays. And it's pretty clear that there's no other way except for the players to have their own association and to actually have a voice to be heard. And, it's very normal. I think every other sport out there has its own players association.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Exactly.
Sport does have it.
And now that, the Professional Tennis Players Association, the same with the Major League Baseball, they even came out in the media and publicly supporting the Tennis Players Association, the NFL, I believe, as well, NHL, I suppose, and, it's only going to grow. I think, already somewhere, close to 500 players are already, involved with the PTPA and want to see the player's voice represented. So, and it's not that we're against the ATP or something else. It's just there's a broken structure, needs another voice, needs to be fixed. So that's all it is. It's not us versus them. It's not a breakaway tour. It's not
it's how can we come
like
together
that.
and serve both parties, to the best.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I suppose you could look at it as the new sort of player council in a way, because that's supposed to have been what had happened in the last, for however long. The player council on the ATP is supposed to have a voice and actually been able to get things done, have votes. But our council again and again over the last 10 years has ended up just walking out and butting their heads against a wall. So it's just a natural progression, I suppose, of where things will go, and it's pretty normal. People I know in all areas of life, whether they're doctors, they belong to medical associations. If they're school teachers, they belong to school teachers associations.
I mean, you have the flight attendant union. I mean, every kind of job out there, you have someone.
Exactly. Of course. So it's very normal. It's happening. It's already happened. It's happening, and it'll be for the best. And it creates, I guess, for transparency. You might have seen a lot of media about it. obviously Novak, Vasek, and hundreds of other players been posting and involved in that, and all the media is involved and running press conferences everywhere about it. So I think it'll be good for the sport as a whole. Obviously, tennis players very underrepresented professionally outside of the top players. So obviously we're working towards getting a lot more players respectable jobs and salaries in the sport, growing our sport, men's and women's, and just growing the sport as a whole. So should be good.
And Nicole is pretty outspoken about it as well, not only from the WTA side, but even also from the double side.
Yes.
And talking about, again, not only the inequality sometimes and from my experience with the WTA, it's exactly as you said, is they have done a great job marketing a few players, but they don't market the tour as a whole. And so what happens if you have you're running a tournament where Osaka and Serena and the ones that they've put all this marketing, they invested all this marketing dollars into, what happens if you're not present at those tournaments? Then all of a sudden everyone's like, well, I don't want to go watch it because I don't know anyone there.
Yeah, 100%. That's, I try to speak from a non-biased point of view, being, I suppose, a singles player for the last 10, 15 years and playing doubles, and even now, this one I'm in only doubles. So can sort of see both sides. It's no secret that, of course, singles, it's worth more. The product, the value is more. It's a free market out there. People are paid according to their value, and that's singles brings in more money, more TV time, higher ratings, whatever. Doubles has its place. Yes, it's attractive. It's good. It has a market share. That's fine. So no issues there. But even in the singles, that's been one of the things that we've raised heavily on the ATP tour the last 10 years is, it's better now, but if you go back probably 10 years, the ATP was really guilty of probably only marketing 3 to 5 to 10 players. And outside of that, it was a big drop off. And, we've been hammering at them for years, even myself personally, come on guys, like you say, 250 tournaments are losing money, 500s are losing money, even some masters. And because, if Roger doesn't play or Rafa is injured or something, then you're left with an incredible array of players, but ones that you're not promoting and marketing. So, if you take golf for an example, there's hundreds of golfers that people know. From every country, everyone knows 5, 10 golfers at least, and makes up a grand total of 100 players. Hundreds probably on the men's and women's side, of course. And so they've done a better job at that. They've obviously gone hard at promoting the younger guys coming up, the next gen and whatever. But they've done better in marketing now, more like 50 to 100 players, and that needs to even get to 100 or 200 singles players and 100 or 200 doubles players on each side. And that will then grow the rest of the tour and the tournaments. So it's which comes first, the chicken and the egg. But they want those tournaments to make money, but they don't want to publicize and promote the players and the growth of that, which is where the monetary value comes in from sponsors, from fans, from TV rights and everything. So it's been a slow progression, but there has been a good, I suppose, improvement, especially on the men's side. Obviously, I'm not heavily involved with the WTA at this stage, so I can't speak fully for them for that. But I'm sure there's still a lot that could be done on their side too for their tour, to promote the product, make the product better, make it more attractive, make sponsors want to get involved, make TVs want to put it on their TV, and again, good for tennis as a whole.
No, and I think you nailed it on the head. Which one comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? I think. Yeah. I was talking to Nicole, where she ran the numbers with me. So at least for the USTA members, right? They did a huge survey here in the States, where how many people out there play singles versus how many people out there play doubles, and it's an overwhelmingly larger number of people playing doubles.
Yeah, so, exactly. So
you would think that. But again, if it's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, where now if Tennis Channel or they start, or ESPN, whatever, they start popping in some doubles in there, it could turn to something greater. But if you don't try, if you don't kind of force it, it's never going to come to light.
Yeah, you're quite right. And so clearly the market opportunity is there in doubles, like you say. I mean, it's natural that, everyone who's after 30, 40 years old and for the rest of their lives are playing basically mainly doubles. They're not running around when they're 80 years old playing singles, really, probably. So there's definitely an opportunity, and that's for, our tours and our marketing agencies and that to really hammer into, and just to grow a lot more opportunities. So I think that's also where something like the PTPA can help. They can open to more free markets. There's obviously a lot of people out there with a lot of funds and money and sponsors and companies that want to invest and get involved. It's no secret that a lot of them have found it difficult to get involved, to buy tournaments. I mean, the tour has to exist, obviously, with protection for the big stakeholders, the tournaments that are investing, putting up the money. But when you've got tournaments offering huge amounts of money, a lot more than current tournaments, and being knocked back repetitively because of limited licenses and things like this, the free market is not there. And in this day and age, it's not good enough and doesn't hold up. The world is far too fast moving, dynamic, changing. It's such a rapidly changing environment, global economy. It's the only way to run is to be open and free and adapt and to be on the fly. So I think tennis, this is the direction it will go in. It's obviously already started. You've seen lots of other pop-up events and things, particularly Laver Cup, for example. It's a completely new...
that was just mentioned right there, Laver Cup.
Exactly.
Got tennis.
Exactly. The model for that, it's short, it's sharp, it's 2 sets, it's a super tiebreak, it's exciting, singles, doubles. The ATP Cup, which was last year in January, that was the first sort of like a new Davis Cup team format, but the ATP Cup, that was a huge success. Brought a whole bunch of players onto the court, singles, doubles, action-packed. Great viewing, great for the fans, great for the players.
You have the mixed doubles, which is so fun also, right? Which back we used to have the Hopman Cup with the mix.
Exactly. Yes, Hopman Cup. Yeah, that's one of my home event in Perth, Australia. Living in Perth, I grew up watching it, and then I've been fortunate enough to play a few times and represent Australia there. It's definitely was one of my goals and highlights of my career, playing Hopman Cup at home. Great event.
Singles, all these events
doubles,
are
mixed doubles. Exactly. It just shows you the opportunity, I suppose, that's there. And like anything, takes time, takes money, takes investment, takes effort. But these opportunities are there, and the way the world is growing and expanding and ever connected, and opportunities are being explored left, right, and center, I would say. It's only a matter of time before more and more of these things happen. And I think it's good for our sport.
No, couldn't agree more. And I mean, I appreciate the answer there, because I think you covered A to Z pretty much. In a span of 5 minutes, you covered a lot of things that can be done better, or things that are gradually getting there, which is exciting. I mean, I think tennis is at a crossroad right now where either we can take this new route and kind of open our heads and do something a little that hasn't really been done before, and tolerate these new events and kind of market it towards it, grow the sport as a whole, or or we might kind of go back to the Stone Age, and where people are just like, it's too stale. Like, what happens when Roger, Nadal, and Djokovic, they retire, and there's no more that edgy competition of who's the GOAT, and then what happens?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, it's been a rare and incredibly amazing period for tennis the last 10 to 20 years, having obviously Roger sort of take over from the Sampras Agassi era, and then obviously Rafa joining that, and then Novak joining and even maybe eclipsing it now. It's quite incredible. So, I mean, it is natural that, generations do pass. And I mean, you saw Sampras and Agassi of the 90s, let's call it, or the McEnroes and Borgs. They pass, and new ones do come, and that will happen again sometime in the next 5-10 years. Roger, Rafa, and Novak will stop playing. Certainly in the next 10 years, they're not going to be at 44 playing or winning, too much. And then you will have the likes of whoever coming up now, Sinner, and probably kids who are 15, 16 out there. They will come up and win slams and be number ones in the world, and they will get big followings and well known and all that. But I think, yeah, it's good questions to ask. I think also you don't want to be guilty of just because you can change it. Obviously, tennis, it's growing. It's growing at a steady rate. It has a lot of incredible things going for it, and the sport is in a healthy place, going well. Can it go much better? And is there a ton more opportunity? Yes, but there is obviously a lot of good foundational stuff in place. So I think you need a balance. I think you don't go crazy and go, right, we're going to go this all new route, new everything. Yeah. No, I think you keep the foundation, you keep a lot of the things that are working, going well, with small adaptations year on year. Try things like this ATP Cup that started last year. They tried it. It was a huge hit off the bat. So bang, that becomes a staple. Laver Cup, obviously they tried that. It's become a huge, incredible success. Bang, that becomes a staple. And then, like you say, then more marketing maybe for other events that involve maybe some like doubles only or mixed doubles only, or right. It's obviously with the men's and women's equality and all that being so, I suppose, how do you say, prevalent and at the forefront of everyone's minds these days. Maybe there's space for a mixed doubles only tournament, a shootout event, a big shootout like a Laver Cup, but mixed doubles only. And imagine all the fans that will garner. But obviously then that's playing to a target market of people maybe who are more maybe 30 to 80 years old. But then how do you attract the ones who are 10 to 30, the younger ones who are all on social media? So you want to see, action-packed, fast-paced, Grand Slams or shootout Masters events or Laver Cup type events where they're seeing, short clips, they're seeing highlights, they're seeing energy, fan, all that engagement. So I think a balance is needed going forward. I think tennis is in a healthy spot and it's growing. It's a great place to be. I don't know on a global scale if it's number 3, 4, 5 in the world or something like that. But and in Australia too, that's it would sit probably domestic sport. AFL football is probably the number one sort of sport, but close after that it must be sort of cricket and tennis would be the next probably biggest sort of sports. Soccer's obviously growing, and worldwide soccer's phenomenon. That'd probably be the biggest global sport. Obviously you've got your basketball and gridiron football in America, but it is domestic only really. So tennis, it's in a healthy spot, and hope everyone continues to keep growing the game. It's I'm very happy to be involved, and will do obviously what I can while I'm playing for however long I can play for, hopefully another 5-10 years, and then ever after, I'll always be involved in tennis in some way. So,
no, completely agree with you. So now switching back to now a little bit more about you. So for those who don't know, I mean, you have quite a bit of following, so most people do know, but you've lived most of your life in Australia, but you were actually not born in Australia.
Exactly. So born in South Africa, grew up there till I was about 13 years old, and then my family emigrated to Australia for opportunity for my sisters in university and job-wise, and for me in sport particularly. And it was amazing to become Australian, and sort of come up through my teenage years there, and then sort of into professional ranks, and have the opportunity to work with so many great players in through our coaching and Davis Cup.
History in your country.
Like I was fortunate to spend a lot of time learning from Todd Woodbridge, Mark Woodford, who I ran into today. A lot of our greats, Peter McNamara, I worked with him. Josh Eagle was an ex-doubles player in Davis Cup. Tony Roach, famous Tony Roach. Pat Rafter, even Leighton Hewitt. I played with him and under him as a captain as well. Obviously, so much to learn from all those guys. So many ex-number ones, so many great coaches. Other great Aussie coach. I worked with a little bit with Bob Brett. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, but just such an amazing, rich history, and I'm very thankful and blessed to have become Australian. Of course, I love my South African roots and heritage. It's a great country. Obviously, it's had its challenges, I suppose, South Africa, like a lot of countries out there. But Australia, it's an amazing place to live. I thank my parents nearly every day for moving and becoming Australian, and Australia for taking us in. And yeah, we love Australia. We represent it as best we can, and yeah, very happy to call
and you have
Australia.
fans all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is Perth currently home to you?
It is, yeah, and yeah, Perth, Australia. Yeah, well, my family's there. Most of my family, Sydney, Australia. I have some family. My sister, brother-in-law, and niece and nephew are there. My wife's family also in Perth. Also, both of us have a few relatives still in South Africa. Some uncles and grannies and aunts and that. So yeah, it's but yeah, Perth is home.
And what is that like? And not just you, but most Australian players. What is that like, you know, being so far away from home for, I mean, it's not, okay, you have the European players, you have the North American players, even the South American players, and you're never too far, or let's say for such a long period of time where you can't, you know, kind of hop on a plane and go home for 1 or 2 weeks. You Aussies have, you know, have it rough. That's not really the case.
There's Lee Nakamura. Lee, we love you too. Say hello to Yutaka for us. Yeah, to answer your question, I mean, look, we're pretty used to it at the moment. Most of us make bases overseas. You know, I usually have a base here in London with the family friends we stay with and live out of here at this time of year. And in the US, we have you know, family friends and friends that we sort of stay with or base with as well. And 1 year even lived in Florida ourselves. We had a place there. So we're pretty used to it. You know, becoming a tennis player basically means you go and live overseas for most of the year. There's Lee. In fact, I've stayed with Lee and Yutaka once in Florida too when we were training and had some time. But yeah, it's, you know, November, December, January are our months at home basically, and then, you know, a few weeks here and there during the year. But obviously this year is much more difficult with COVID and Australia being super strict with quarantine restrictions. But hopefully, you know, that will start changing soon once people are vaccinated more and COVID sort of settles down a bit, and the government finds a, you know, a way out, a path for the way out of COVID there, so that we can go home when we want. You know, it's obviously it's longer flights and that, but you know, within 24 hours, usually from anywhere in the world, we can be home within a day. So it's not the end of the world, really. Obviously, a bit of jet lag and long flights, but you know, it's not the way the world's so connected now. It's not actually that bad, really.
Right, and like you said, I guess this is something that you guys are just kind of used to.
Exactly. Yeah. So even this year, probably we won't get to go home as much.
Crazy, right? Often. Oh, 24 hours, I'm home. You know, complete different time zone.
Yeah, but I mean, look, what's the time there now? It's lunchtime, so by lunchtime tomorrow, you could be home. I mean, it's not the end of the world, really, is it?
It's not. if you can withstand that 16, 17-hour flight.
Well, yeah, and try and break that up. Yeah, try and upgrade or try and put it, you know, 2 smaller flights or something if you need to. But yeah, no, don't try to take the long flights too often. But you know, every couple months, few months, it's all right.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I have one last question for you before we move on. I always like, when I do one of these, we always like to do like a lightning speed round. So
yeah, let's do it. Lightning speed question. Before I go to have a massage and physio.
Absolutely. So the last thing I wanted to ask you was, you know, we've been seeing you post a lot, GTP and Neuro tennis, and obviously, you know, everywhere. So what is
these guys?
Tell us a little bit more. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There you go. So GTP, they are global tennis professionals. They're, well, I guess a company in the USA and have a few parts to them, but in general, it's to protect players and coaches and people in tennis with a bit more professionalism than just a verbal agreement. I suppose a lot of people out there may know that if they're coaches and players, when they come up, they have some agreement that, oh yeah, okay, I'll give you this much money, but when you become a pro, I'll then, you know, get 10% of your prize money as a bonus for spending all these years working with you. But a lot of that stuff never goes in writing. So GTP basically just formalizes and, you know, I guess becomes a sort of agent for both parties and, you know, formulates basic contracts that just put things out on paper and make it simple for each party to know what they've said, what they've committed to, what they're going to do in the future. So it's that, but also in the same time, it's for even current professionals and coaches to make contracts. I mean, some guys maybe in the top 5, top 10, they might have IMG doing their contracts, and even the coaches, doing the agents' contracts. But a lot of people out there don't have big representation or don't have lawyers doing all their contracts for them. So GTP has simplified, I suppose, all that process to an online annual sort of membership subscription, and for a small fee, basically just like a few percent, sort of like almost like a credit card fee, they get a lawyer-based professional contract written up for them.
So you have all your bases covered, you're protected. I mean,
exactly.
On both sides. You can either
exactly.
cash to a coach and say, hey, work with me for the next year.
Exactly.
Coach takes off, you lose that money. Or you as a coach, you're working with a junior player who you think can go far. You put in all this time and effort, they can't pay you. All of a sudden, they get to Wimbledon, and it's like, wow, geez, I wish I could get a little bit of money from all the years I spent with that player.
Exactly. So it can be that. It can be also, I go back to probably making the sport better as a whole. It probably just makes more people feel even more important and more professional at every level of the sport, not just the top 10 or the top 100 or whatever. So, even people down there at 500 in the world, if they want to hire a coach and they say, okay, I'm going to give you $500 for the week, and then, for a few weeks, then at least it's in writing. So they're going to get paid. It's professional. The player knows what they're going to pay. The coach knows what they're going to get. So, lots of things like that. But yeah, it just sort of formalizes and is a professional medium, I suppose, for players and coaches all around the world. And yeah, it's not only just for the payment's sake. I think the database or the membership, all the players and coaches belong to it and can list themselves on there as a player looking for a coach or as an available coach. So if I go to the US and I don't have a coach with me because it's hard to bring my coach from Australia, and I go, look, I need a coach for 6 weeks until the US Open, I can go on there and look at who's available, how much they charge, what I'm going to pay, what's the deal, and it's a way to find coaches and players and jobs. So yeah, it's a whole host of things, but those are the sort of main ones. Neuro tennis, as you saw, it's this little device actually here. So
very cool.
Yeah, basically it's a sort of a self-coaching device in a way that your own coach can upload commands or tips or things you've been working on with them to this device, and if someone's out there practicing with another player, is out there hitting serves by themselves, out there with a ball machine, you can set it to the frequency of how often you want to be reminded. For example, move your feet, or work on your follow through, or bend your legs.
Keep your head up on the serve.
Exactly. Keep your ball toss higher. Don't go too far forward on that one, or think about your footwork on this, or just all those little things that if you can't have a coach standing there with you, giving you those tips all the time, this is basically exactly. It's sort of like an digital coach in a way, and can be customized, programmed, and actually each sort of box comes with 2 devices in it. So if you're practicing with somebody else, you can each wear one, and it can sense when the other person hits the ball as to when to give you a command, and that's all.
Oh wow! So it's their things almost. Yeah.
Exactly. It will realize when the ball machine feeds the ball or when the other person hits the ball, and you can set at which intervals if you want to be reminded of your coaching tips.
Really cool.
When that comes later on, every second time, every 10th time, every 5 minutes. So yeah, it has quite a host of opportunities, and I think again, like to compare to golf, you see a lot of sort of golf digital devices with a lot of measuring and different things like that. So this is for me one of the first sort of tennis specific devices that exist, and something that's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool tech. I mean, anyone can record on their phone, maybe something, but devices, but this one measures it. It's specifically made for tennis. You have it on. It's easy. It's wearable, and the sensor to know when the ball's coming and that, and set the frequency intervals. It's all programmed for you. It comes with an app, which is all customizable. So it's all done for you. Basically, it takes all the hassle out of all that. Good gift, I suppose, too, if sort of Christmas comes around, or a birthday. If you got any tennis lovers out there, it's
for sure. They definitely haven't seen anything like it before.
Exactly. Yeah. No, definitely haven't. So that's for me the first sort of tennis-specific smart device. So it's a good one.
Very cool. All right, thanks for sharing that with us. So, so I know you have to go, right? So you want to get your massage. So let's go really quick. I got about 9 questions here. First one that comes to your head. There's no thinking.
All right.
You know, if you regret it afterwards, shoot me a text and I'll set the record straight if you regret your answer.
All right, I'll try. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Favorite tournament?
Wimbledon.
If you weren't a tennis player, what would you be?
Lawyer.
Craziest match atmosphere they've been a part of?
Australian Open, best of 5 sets against Nicholas Mahut. I won the match in about 40-degree heat, which is about 100 degrees of you guys. And yeah, the fans helped me through that one. Maybe they were not so fair to Nico, but it was unbelievable sound and atmosphere in there.
They would do the opposite if you were playing him in the French Open, right?
And they have. I've been there with the Frenchman and the French crowd. That's we've been there.
Somewhere you have never been but are dying to go?
Las Vegas, funnily enough. I've spent so many years in the US, but haven't been to Vegas yet.
All right. Viva Las Vegas. All right. Favorite sport to watch outside of tennis?
Oh, what do I watch? Probably rugby union. I love Rugby World Cup. You know, born in South Africa. I'm a huge rugby fan.
Yep. Favorite book?
Favorite book? I'm a Christian. I'm gonna say the Bible. I'm a Christian.
Okay.
Obviously read lots of books, but the Bible has a lot of knowledge and wisdom in there, and a lot of good stuff from coming out of there.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at your answer. I'm laughing at Matty Reed talking about Vegas. He has a perfect.
Haven't been to Vegas, Reedy. Can you take me?
He can show you every corner of Vegas.
I don't doubt it. The famous Matt Reed.
So favorite book, the Bible. That's a fantastic answer there. Top thing to do on your bucket list?
Hot air ballooning.
Okay, cool. All right. Best food in the world is found in?
Greece.
Greece. Okay. Awesome answer. Final one. What TV show are you watching right now?
It's called The Morning Show, and it's with Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell. It's a new one. It's I think it's on Apple TV or Netflix.
Yeah. How far along are you in?
Only 3 or 4 episodes, but it's pretty epic.
It's
Deals
good.
with the Me Too movement and all the stuff in media. It's quite interesting.
Yep. No, Sam and I watched that. I'll say about 2 months ago, and we were hooked. Okay. It's a great show.
I'll watch more tonight after my physio, which I got to go to.
Sounds good. Matt, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for taking the time. Right. I think everyone here agrees. We're all cheering for you. Hope you kick some ass in the doubles, and hopefully you and Sam get in the mixed doubles, and you guys can do some damage.
I hope so. Thanks. Good luck to everyone. Good luck. And I will do.
All right.
All the best, guys.
Talk
Thank
soon.
you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Matt.